So there's been rumblings of a new Kendrick Lamar album coming in 2021, and he was recently spotted in the summer of 2020 shooting a music video in LA. So the rumors are keeping, us going. The fans are excited. Do you think that we're going to see an album from Kendrick in 2021?
I hope so. I definitely hope so. It's been too long, man. It's going to be almost 4 years that he hasn't dropped, and I'm super anxious because, I'm always down for new Kendrick material. It's always on some legendary shit, and he's always dropping, the next innovative project. And every time Kendrick Lamar drops, it's a whole celebration within the community, right? And there's not many people that dislike Kendrick Lamar's music, and we'll leave it at that, So I think everyone's watching, everyone's down, and regardless, whatever we say really doesn't matter because he's going to end up dropping quality if he does drop again. And if he doesn't drop this year, then I guess he's a for sure shot next year, or even at that, maybe he's just questioning retirement.
Yeah, I think in terms of discography, it's always more important to have quality over quantity. But in Kendrick's case, where it's almost been 4 years, do you think that he has to drop this year?
Yeah, just because I feel as if the fans were not we're expecting it. If you understand what I'm trying to say. With Jay-Z's 444 example, the situation was much more different for him not to release 4 years after. It's the same thing. I feel as if Isaiah Rashad, the hunger was not there for the album like there was for another Kendrick album. People thought that Kendrick was coming out with a whole different album after the album was released because of the blue version, and I'm not sure if you remember that, but it was, I think this album had dropped on Good Friday, and then after that there was rumors of something coming out on Easter, and him dropping a whole different album, and that didn't end up happening. That was just conspiracy theories, but I'm always down. Do you think maybe he drops a project with Baby Keem before?
I don't think so. I think they might have, I think Kendrick might spit a feature verse on Baby Keem's next album, but I don't think we're going to see a collab album between the two of them. But what's really interesting about, Kendrick dropping new music this year is the fact that, he has 4 studio albums out, and I feel like, he's covered almost every aspect of his life. And just coming off of Damn in 2017, that's undebatably his most personal album. It features some of his best writing, some of his most introspective verses ever. So at this point, the question is, what can Kendrick really deliver more?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the whole thing of the alter ego, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a theory I have. And it stems from, seeing Kendrick at that music video shoot where he's kind of speaking on a payphone, and he's dressed in these clothes where he's kind of looking, run down and maybe homeless. So my whole idea was, after dropping Damn, which is such a personal album, is he really going to tap into himself again, or is he going to go into somebody else's shoes and tell somebody else's story? And he's done that in the past on songs like Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. So why not make a whole concept album around that, kind of idea?
If there's someone skilled enough to do it, it's definitely Kendrick Lamar. And I would agree with you, that would sound perfect, because imagine it's a whole continuation of How Much a Dollar Costs. You know what I'm trying to say?
That would be crazy.
Getting into that guy's head, maybe that was foreshadowing towards a new album. Hey, that's a new conspiracy theory. You know what I'm trying to say? There's so many questions that are up for debate with this Kendrick album.
We can make a whole video on that, man, because that's
absolutely.
That's
there's so many ways we could go about this. I mean, Nick was saying something earlier today when we were talking on the phone. Imagine Dr. Dre exec produces the whole project. I mean, we don't know it, and we know Dr. Dre is still executive producing albums.
There was even rumblings of this being a rock produced album. Who knows if he's gonna bring in some rock instrumentals? How would you feel about
that, though?
I'd be for it. After what he did, bringing in kind of the whole jazz aesthetic on T-Pab, I'm all down for Kendrick, kind of blending more genres into hip hop, just because he's a master of his craft and he's always innovating, man.
In what way would his lyricism match that rock? Because the thing is that we know Kendrick for those jazz productions and for those jazz samples. So this would be something completely different than we've seen in his whole discography.
Yeah, it definitely would be. I mean, I don't know who he would tap into. Maybe he'd work with someone like Rick Rubin, who's familiar with that aesthetic. But maybe even Dr. Dre can come in and give a helping hand, because Dre's production, is way more diverse than just hip hop. So
very heavily.
I think it'll be hard for any rapper to really rap on on rock beats. We saw Eminem kind of attempted on Marshall Mathers LP2, but it's Kendrick Lamar, man. He can rap a cappella. He can rap on jazz beats, on country beats. Give him any instrumental. He's tearing it up.
It wouldn't matter. But I mean, yeah, that would probably be the most diverse place he could go. Maybe. Yeah. I think the furthest that he could go away from his aesthetic that he has now, because, you know, as you said, the Pimp a Butterfly is really heavy on those jazz aesthetics, and it was all live recorded. If you did not know that, so that's going on there. I would like to hear Thundercat again on this.
Apparently, he has worked on this album. That's what Thundercat said. I think he was asked. And he said that he keeps working.
Did he say
with him.
anything else about it being ridiculous or whatever it is?
No, he just said that
yes?
he's been working with Kendrick, on the new album. So
Whoa.
It'll be interesting to see. But once again, I mean, I don't think Kendrick has to drop this year, just because if he waits 5 years rather than 4, it's not a big deal. Nas waited 6 years in between Life Is Good and Nazir. So,
but Nas also had a much lengthier discography, though.
True.
Nas at that point I think was like 14 years into his career. No, even more. What, 94 to what, 2010? Was it that 2010?
Life is Good was 2012.
2012. Sheesh, yeah, absolutely. He was like 18 years into his career.
Yeah.
You know, that's the crazy thing about Kendrick, is that like now we're putting him in that conversation, and it's only been since like you could really consider Section 80 maybe his most polarizing project that really put him on. Like,
he doesn't even need to drop another album, and he'll still have one of the best discographies of all time as it stands right now.
Okay,
that's
so
what's mind blowing.
So then let me ask you this: do you look at Kendrick Lamar in a different light if he drops a mediocre album?
I mean, it would hurt his discography slightly, but based on the classics that he's given us and the way that he's impacted the genre and changed it forever, his spot's still cemented, man. I think that he solidified a spot in the top 10 of all time, and he can only move up in that list.
Do you think he's the best ever dude on the West Coast?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Just because Ice Cube has given us so much, Tupac has been so influential, I don't know if I can give it to Kendrick just yet.
We'll have to see towards the end of his career, because his career is going into a very interesting space. You know, a lot of friends are frustrated, but guys, please stay patient. I mean, you know, these artists, they do have to eat. And as we said before in so many of our videos, COVID-19 has affected the world, believe it or not, and even these artists. So, I mean, we got to wait. We got to wait and see. You know, TD has a lot of rollouts to get done. So, who knows? Maybe Kendrick goes first, or Kendrick goes last, or Kendrick goes middle. We don't know. We don't have that sort of information. But guys, let us know what you think about this new album. And you know what? Drop a feature on there. Who would you like to see featured on this new Kendrick Lamar album?
And also, if you can, drop the date of when you think that, you know, it might come out. Maybe a month in 2021, or maybe not this year at all. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I'm all for a new Kendrick album.
Okay, so before we end this off, projection, when do you think it's dropping?
I'm going to go with 2022.
Yeah,
I don't think it's coming this year. I don't think it's coming.
I think he's going right before summer. I think he's coming right before summer. I swear to God.
We'll have to wait on it, man. I don't know.